Welcome to Well Wave Now. This is part of our backstory series where we get to know a little bit more about the guest we'll have on in a future segment. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Paul Zaidman, who is coming to us all the way from Australia. And we're excited to learn more about Paul before we have him on the full Well Wave Now podcast. And so, Paul, we first want to know, where did you grow up?
Oh, wow. I sort of consider myself, I guess, a child of the universe because I was born as I said before, I was born in a little place called Kishinev, which is part of Moldova, which is part of Romania, which Russia took over. So it's kind of like a really weird situation. My parents saw the situation back there in 1970 when I was born. By the time I was a year and a half old, he had already, he says escaped, left, when told him he was going to Germany with about 9 members of our family and for a holiday. Then Israel took us in and they were quite happy to give him a rifle or a Uzi. I grew up in Israel until the age of about 9 or 10. Found myself in Australia, which I thought was really, really strange because it was really quiet here. There was no sonic booms overhead. There was no explosions. There was no gunfire. I'm just like, where is everybody? So, and so I grew up in Australia, as you can tell with the accent. I still have a bit of a twang every now and then. I'll say no instead of nay. So yeah, that's where I grew up most of my life. So partly in Israel, partly in Australia.
So
Wow.
what part of what part of Australia? And it sounded like it was a rural setting or a
Well,
countryside setting. Possibly.
you guys would call it Mexico. We call it Melbourne. Melbourne, Australia, Victoria, where it's fast becoming, that way. But anyway, that's where I've spent most of my life. But I've traveled extensively and I'm actually really blessed to have traveled with the dance to all different countries around the world and worked on cruise ships, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. So it was really your dad who kind of organized getting the family out and to non-communist controlled territories. And
Absolutely.
was there another reason that you were taken in by Israel?
Well, we were looking for asylum. My dad was in the Russian army, and he was constantly being called an effing Jew, and why don't you go home? And what are you doing here? And so he said, "Yeah, cool, I will." So he got quite a lot of, resistance for being who he was. We didn't choose it; we just born into it. And so he said, "Listen, I'm going to get in touch with the Israeli embassy," and then left. He actually told me stories about going to my mother's and her sister's employer to get release papers for them to be not at work while on holiday. Because you couldn't just walk the street in those days in Russia. If you walk the street, if you're a school age child, you should be at school. And the police would pick you up, put you in the back of the car and find out who you are, where you live, et cetera, et cetera. Which reminds me of a very quick joke. During Perestroika, all the KGB agents went to New York and got cabs that became taxi drivers. And it was really good because you get in the cab and you tell them your name and they take you to where you live.
So are your parents still living?
My mother is. My father passed away at the beginning of this year.
Oh, sorry for that.
It was hard. It was a
Yeah.
good man. He was
What
one of
about
the original. Yeah, go
what
ahead.
about siblings? You have siblings, and where do you fit in? Are you the oldest, youngest?
I'm the firstborn. My brother, who's 4 years younger, lives in London, and this is the best part about who we are. Australia wasn't big enough for both of us, and so he's kind of like the moon. I'm the sun. He is the complete opposite. He was in stockbroking and financial. He's amazing. He's got a Jewish wife and 3 Jewish children, and I'm living with a Catholic girlfriend with a daughter out of wedlock. I'm going to hell. He's going to heaven. The whole thing, according to my mother.
Boy, I love hearing about people's family and especially traditions. This is a big time of the year for a lot of people, regardless of their faith, their background. But, the holidays always bring families together one way or another. And so are there any traditions that you learned from, your mom who's still living that you've carried on now with your daughter?
I guess, look, growing up, and this is why I joke about my brother being very different to me. I have opened my mind and my heart to dance which in my world, I'm going to talk very quickly about this, is very much energy, frequency, vibration. And so just because I was labeled a Russian Jew does not mean that my heart and soul and energy and frequency doesn't take on other frequencies. And I've been very, very lucky and blessed to be able to see other cultures as I've traveled. So yeah, I have a very strong foundation of Judaism, but at the same time, for example, the Maori, New Zealand Maori, I don't know why. I have a very powerful connection to that culture. And every time I hear them do anything, speak, even just hearing them speak really like kills me inside. I don't know why it is. I just want to be there. I want to go there. The Hawaiians, in fact, the whole Polynesian island chain is just like, I want to be there. You know, when I traveled with Crystal Cruises, which sails out of Miami down the Mexican Riviera, I loved that part of it as well. So it's a completely other side of the world, but I don't know why. I just wanted to be there. Florida, as soon as we sailed into Florida, I'm like, whoa, what's the energy here? I want to be here. So yeah, as far as traditions, I look at and I take on quite seriously other traditions. And I look at them as processes of energy creation. You know, people singing, Silent Night, beautiful. You know, I want to stand there and listen to that. I don't know why, so I don't really ask, or say, oh, this is a different, I just go, this is a beautiful frequency. I just want to be here. And that's why the dance studio, because I call that my church. And the music is the actual harmonies and the frequencies that make me breathe, make me live, make me, I can actually feel them tingling inside me. And so, yeah, there's a lot of that.
All right. So aside from the music and the dance frequency, when you
Yeah.
were growing up, were there any other sports frequencies that
Yeah.
resonated with you? What else
Yeah.
did you go?
Yeah. So I was beaten up at school a lot for being a dance teacher, being a dancer. So I took on wrestling, taekwondo, archery, canoeing. I didn't really go for the ball sports. I played soccer for a little while, but that was kind of like a team sport, and the team mostly let me down because I played to win, and I held my position, and everybody else played to do what they wanted to do. So I left that and went into taekwondo and dancing. And when rollerblading came along, I took up that. Snowboarding, I love that. So anything to do with moving my body and twisting and feeling the rush and the boxing, anything to do with the challenge, I wanted to do. I even took up full contact chess. And now those ones where they move and they slap that thing and slap
Yeah.
the time, I'm like, oh, that's dangerous.
Speed chess.
A speed chess. I was going to need an explanation of what full contact meant, but I do know speed chess. So Paul, any childhood memories that you really cherish and will love to tell your grandkids someday?
Yeah. There's quite a few. There's quite a few, but it mostly has to do with, I guess, being a good man, because that's what my father instilled in me. He told me that, number one, you never hit a girl, and number two, you protect those who cannot protect themselves until they can. So those are the things that, I'm going to get emotional. Yeah, those are the two things that I'd love to carry on.
Yeah. Well, wait until Tim hits you with this next question. He's really going to get deep on you here.
We'll get bring a little levity back into it.
Go ahead.
My dad used to have the same restriction on don't hit a female until my brother got beat up by one, and then he changed it to don't hit a female first. If they hit you first, then you got to fight them like two men.
Well, these days you can't really tell, so I'm just like,
But
look at the
another one, not the other side. Now we spent some time in Chicago, and I was never afraid of a woman until I saw one that was in Chicago, and I said, "Wow, that's that one you might want to be careful with." But now, so it sounds like your dad had a big influence on your life. Would you say he was the most influential in your life, or who else kind of influenced?
Look, both my mother and father had an influence. My mother had the influence of caring, of the feminine side, and I'm quite, although I'm a man, I'm quite in touch with the feminine side. I'm creative. I do a lot of things that help my energy and my soul. I'm not afraid of sitting and meditating. I'm not afraid of reading a book. I'm not afraid of smelling a flower. And actually, when we talk to people, I create a kind of energy that syncs with them. And my mother was quite good at that. She was quite strong, quite a strong woman as well, because they had to be back in Russia. But yeah, there's a lot of that. My grandmother had a big influence on me. She used to she used to cook for 15. There was like only four of us in the family, and she used to cook for 15. And sure enough, she always said, somebody will show up for dinner and I would just want to have enough. And sure enough, every night we had like 10, 11 people at the dinner. I'm like, where did they come from? Where do these people come from?
Wow.
Don't they have homes? So yeah. So the giving aspect is there. And that's what I carried on in the dancing. And sometimes I've even got to tell myself and some of the other teachers I employ, listen, we only give an hour, and if you do give too much, then you'll be late for the next hour. Because we always go 10, 15 minutes overtime because we just want to give. So yeah, that carried on a lot.
Let's transition more into your professional career now. And you've talked a lot about, and we haven't even really introduced what you do. So let our audience know what the essence of your work is, and how that relates to wellness, and then also let our audience know what you personally get out of it.
Sure. Very quickly, from the age of 5, I began in classical ballet, then jazz ballet, then folk dancing. I went right through till the breakdancing era of the 80s. I was doing classical ballet, and my boys were throwing little pebbles at the window, going, come on, we've got a battle. So I'd go out and be like, what? Stealing my dad's cardboard from his garage and putting it on the floor, carrying a ghetto blaster. We had that all here. So I was part of a crew. Then I went into Patrick Swayze when he did Dirty Dancing. I went, whoa, what's that? And that was like 2 people rather than just solo dancing. So I left kind of the solo dance world. I was still working at nightclubs every now and again for money, dancing on a podium, but I was actually being a dance teacher for a couple of different commercial dance studios that taught ballroom dancing, street Latin, Argentine tango, rock and roll, anything to do with the partner dance world. And so I didn't look back after that, went through and studied with some of the greats around the world, paid my way through, went to London, went to Singapore, went to Hong Kong, learned the art, the craft. Then my greatest achievement, apart from being asked to be on Dancing with the Stars as one of the teachers, was going to a place called Blackpool in London. Now we say Blackpool and people go, ooh, just like, normal people say Wimbledon or, the pro golf tournament in the States somewhere. So that's kind of like the big one. And I came 4th in the world. I placed Australia 4th in the world in 2014. And that was massive for Australia. We had 93 countries competing, and it was an all-day week battle. So, then I started, in the meantime, I was starting 3 different dance studios as not at the same time consecutively. And then, and at the same time working on cruise ships. So yeah, it's been a fun time, but ballroom dancing, partner dancing, salsa, cha-cha-cha, waltz, tango, Argentine tango, quick step, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, things like that, as well as Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey, all that. And anything in between.
So what do you get out of helping others become proficient in that, or being able to enjoy it?
That question can write a book. That question is massive. I get, $120 an hour, but on the other side, I have my energy fulfilled and replenished because I've given to someone who's now doing something that I can do. And they're not just doing it, they're getting the joy and the fun and the laughter and the love and the energy and the health and the breathing that I get when I get with someone. And the health benefits for me, I'm 55 years old now, and we just came out of Australian Dance Championships, and I was accompanying 4 other ladies who are my students, one of which is 17 years old. She's now number 3 in Australia. One who is 63 years old, she's number 1. This lady's number 1. She was kicking her feet up. I'm just like, this is crazy. So there's a massive amount of, let's just talk physically for a second, lung capacity. The heart becomes massive rather than this little thing that beats. It's just like boom, 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 boom. The vessels open up. the body moves, the joints get lubricated, the muscles get bigger, the constant movement of healthy foods that we promote through the body, the liver gets cleansed. I talk about things like eating beetroot raw to clean up your system, eating celery and carrots, cucumbers. Man, cucumber is just like one of the most healthiest things you can put in your mouth. So there's a lot of things that we encompass to make the machine, I call this the machine, to make the machine work properly. Yeah, if you like I said, you want to dance at an elite level, get rid of your smoking, get rid of your drinking, number one. Because if you're doing that, and you could be the best dancer in the world, but your machine's not going to work. You can have a Ferrari and you put sugar in the petrol tank, it's not going to work. So that's a big thing for us, is to understand what we put in our body and how the body can move. And looking around the world, still to this day, I look for new modalities, new technical training manuals. I was looking at Taekwondo videos the other day and remembering what we used to do at training. And I sent the video to my squad on WhatsApp, because we got a little group that we chat about. I said, this is the new training regime. And they're like, what? Why are we doing that? I said, don't worry, And in my head, it's for your jive, to get you bouncing, because the calf muscle, I love the calf muscle. The calf muscle to me is like the greatest muscle in the body. It's just, or as you call it, gastrocnemius.
Well, so you get out of this what the joy that comes to people invigorates you, their energy you get back from it. You've gotten your own health benefits of it, transferred out of that. Now, I think you said earlier that you kind of started doing some dance at 5. Did you always want to make this your profession, or did you come back to it after thinking about something else?
Yeah, because at the age of 19, 20, 21, I think it was, I took a massive gap year, and I said, is this all I'm going to be? And I kind of listened, because I never listened to people. I listen to what they say, but then I go, you know what do I feel? And so everyone's telling me, get a real job. What are you going to do? It doesn't make money. And so I went and worked for the bank. I went and joined the military here in Australia. I work with a unit called 2 Commando Company 5 Platoon. And, they taught us all sort of wonderful stuff, how to crawl under stuff and jump over things and jump out of stuff and shoot things. And I'm like, who's going to attack us? This is 1990 here. And then I worked with all sorts of different small jobs all around the place. And I got my student's pilot's license, but none of it was really exciting for me. None of it really gave me that buzz where I hold a lady's hand and we dance and we move and she gets her eyes lit up and it's like, oh my God, I've never felt this before. This is great. I can go out and find a man and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, good, go ahead, live your life. That really gives me a buzz, because there's so many different variables. It's not just one modality. There's so many different variables. There's so many different things. And I've developed a way of, when you touch someone, when you hold a hand, when you shake the hand, you know exactly who you're dealing with. You know the difference between a wet handshake, a wet fish, and a really good handshake. And then you know the difference between a really good handshake and someone who's just trying to power you. So, yeah, great. Can I have my hand back now? This is what happens when you constantly hold someone in a frame. One hand is here on their right hand, and my right hand goes on their scapula, the left scapula, slightly behind, and I feel their heart, and their heart is positioned, on that side. I'm just like, I feel you, I know you, I get you. And when I move together, the conversation, it's amazing. I can, sometimes there's no words for it, but
you get Paul, it does seem that you have really found your calling, right? You took the gap time, realized, no, I want to pursue this professionally and help as many people as you can.
Yeah.
But, doing that day in and day out, you seem like a very positive person, but do you ever, have those moments when you feel challenged, and what do you do to keep going?
Yeah, all the time. And this is something that I've had to really look into and research, because I'm so open, I've had to close myself. Because sometimes when I come home, I used to do this without knowing it, and I'd come home and I'd be angry, I'd be sad. And I'm like, why am I, the hell? I was okay this morning. What, and needless to say, I took on those people's energies. They left quite happy, and I was like left with their baggage. So I've had to, at the end of the day, I sit in my car for about 5-10 minutes and breathe. Then I drive home, and I get home and I'm kind of like just going through the day and saying to myself consciously, that was their stuff. Let it go. It's not your stuff. This is what you've got to focus on. You have a duty of care to your daughter. You have, she doesn't deserve to listen to that stuff. So yeah, there was a lot of cleansing and clearing and consciously saying to yourself, no. So there's a big psychological component to it where you've got to be on top of your game all the time to know what's happening. So yeah, definitely and that can affect you, as you know, that can affect you health wise. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on.
So that's how you overcome the days when there's challenges. But now, as you look at now, so you've done quite a bit here. You've lived in several countries, traveled around the world, competed at high levels and various things. So what's left for Paul? Do you have any dream projects now?
Yeah. The body is an amazing thing. And I'm constantly looking into, I've got this one thing about how can I fly? How can I make myself fly? But on a serious level, during the lockdowns, we had an incident where two gentlemen came in and told me I couldn't do what I was doing because of whatever else was going on. And I said, what gives you the right to come in here? I didn't say that to them. I kind of questioned it. And I went down a rabbit hole and found law. Because my whole life, I wasn't told, but I was led to believe that I was just a dumb dance teacher. And really deep down inside, I'm just a nerd. I love to study. I didn't know that, but I love to study. And so I'm doing a law course and have been for the last 3 years. And I'm retaining the information, comprehending the information and using the information. I'm just like, how is this possible? I was just a dumb dance teacher, And so I've really fell in love with it again. And I'm reading now, and I'm reading a lot. And so I'd like to be able to pass on information like that to the average kid in the street so that they can comprehend, their rights. But that's a completely different sort of side of dancing. But yeah, I was just like, hey, this could be the next, 10, 15, 20 years of my life. But dancing is always going to be there. Dancing is always it's just part of, people say, oh, dancing's my life. I'm like, you know what you're talking about, because people are like, oh, I'm going to become a dance teacher and I'll dance all the time. No, you become a dance teacher, you dance less, much, much less. You're running a studio, you're running a company, you're running a household. But yeah, there's a lot. I've just written a book, a children's of So I've written a book, a children's book. I've written a second book in terms of dance for men, who to be, how to behave in the dance world, what to do. Your partner is a teammate. She's not a target or a trophy, things like that. And I'm writing my memoirs, which is going to be quite a candid look at what I had to do to survive in the dance world in the 80s and 90s. And let me tell you, there's some stuff that I've done that nothing illegal. I didn't do any because I don't want to be in jail, because a guy like me in jail would be really popular. And so nothing illegal, but I did some things that, could be looked on as, yeah, well, okay, I wouldn't have done that, Paul, but that's in my last book. So yeah, there's quite a bit going on. That's quite a bit in my head.
Well, Paul, I'm going to take some rapid fire questions here for you. So this is just some fun facts. You ready? You all warmed up and ready to go?
Okay.
So just first thing that comes to mind. So are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. Definitely. And do you prefer the mountains or the beach?
The beach.
Even though you snowboard, huh? Come on. You can't.
Yeah, I know, right?
And what's in your cup there, Paul? Do you prefer coffee, tea, or something else?
Chai.
Chai tea?
Chai tea, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much for helping us get to know you a little better, Paul, and we look forward to having you on the Well Wave Now show. And looking forward to the full episode and having you back. And it's always great to get a little more into your backstory, who you are, where you came from, before we just dive right into how you're helping people professionally. So want to encourage all of our listeners to please subscribe to the Wellness Wave Club on YouTube, and then join our Facebook group. We've got an amazing group on Facebook with some professionals that are helping hundreds, well, actually now thousands of patients all over. So we encourage you to join us there as well and get connected with some of our experts like Paul. And we look forward again, Paul, to having you back on the Well Wave Now show. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you both, gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.